What's up guys, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today I am partnering up with Cirque Colors to bring you their latest release, which is the Spellbound trio. So we got a trio of brand new thermal color changing nail polishes just in time for Halloween, and let me tell you, I'm very excited about these. Before we get into it, just to give you guys a little bit of background information on Cirque, they are an independent nail polish brand based out of New York. They are cruelty free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. They are vegan, meaning they do not use any animal-derived ingredients, and they're also 10-free, meaning they do not use 10 of the potentially harmful ingredients that are often found in nail polish. So we've got 3 brand new limited edition colors today. They are all thermal color-changing polishes, meaning when you are cold, they are one color, when you're warm, they're another color, and they're all these perfectly Halloween-y colors that I am just so excited about. Halloween is my absolute favorite holiday, and I just really live for these Halloween collections, but I especially love thermals. I just think they're so much fun. I'm going to be showing you guys swatches of all of them, and then I'm going to be dipping my nails into cold and warm water. You don't actually need water in order to get the thermal change. It just matters based on the temperature of your nails and your hands. But using water is just the easiest way to show you guys in a swatch video. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And then I'm also going to be doing a little bit of a nail art tutorial at the end. I have been talking about wanting to do a peekaboo nail art tutorial with thermal polish for so long, and I've finally done it. It's Halloween themed, my first Halloween look of the year, and I just really love how it turned out. So let's just start off with the swatches, and then we'll move into the nail art, talk about pricing, availability, all that good stuff. So roll the footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am going to be using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today I am using the Cirque base coat, so I'll link it below. So we'll start off with the first shade in the trio. This one is called Cast a Spell, and you can see in its cold state, it's actually this really bright orange cream shade, and it's actually really opaque. You can see it was actually almost one coat on me in its cold state, but when it shifts into its warm state, it actually turns into a sort of sheer peachy pink kind of color. Now, one thing that I've recently been doing with thermals that I found to be really helpful is to always do 3 coats. Now, you can see this one was definitely opaque in 2 coats, but I also want to account for the lighter shade. In this case, that's the warm peachy pink shade. So I like to do a 3rd coat just to make sure that that warm nail color is not going to show my visible nail line. So you can see very opaque in its cold state. My hand does actually warm up throughout this review, but let me show you what it looks like when I am doing a little dip into cold and warm water. So on the left side, I have some cold water. On the right side, I have some warm water, and you can see we have a really strong shift here. It almost goes from this very warm orange into an almost cool pinky kind of shade. So definitely a lot of fun to play around with this color. I absolutely love this orange. It feels so Halloween-y. I'm trying to imagine what kind of nail art I can do that transforms from the cold shade into the warm shade, but I just really love it. It's a lot of fun, and it's really a very sensitive color. As soon as it gets a little bit warm, it's going to do that shift. Next up, we have the shade Enchanted, another classic Halloween-y color. In its cold state, we have this really vibrant purple cream shade, and you can see at this point I was actually starting to be a little bit warm under my lamps where I paint my nails, so it was already shifting into the warmer color, which is actually a really soft, cool toned lavender. So I think this is another really interesting one, that it shifts from being a very warm toned color into being a very cool toned color. It's actually really hard to tell what's going on when I'm painting, but once again, I am doing 3 coats. It's actually a little bit easier for me personally to paint my nails with a thermal polish while they're warm, because I can see what the lighter color is going to look like. So I actually also have a little bit of a natural French going on here because of the free edge of my nail, but 3 coats did give me that perfect opacity. So here we are testing it out in the water again, and we have this nice soft color when it's warm, and we have this really intense warm red when it's cold. So just another really pretty shade. I feel like this is another one I could do a lot of nail art with, but I just love purple nail polishes in general. I feel like I'm probably going to be wearing this one a lot in October. over. And last but definitely not least, we have the shade Witching Hour, and this is actually kind of funny because the first two shades in the bottle, they were in their cold state when I swatched them, but this one was actually in its warm state when I swatched it. So when it's cold, it's actually a really deep, almost black base that has this scattered hollow pigment running throughout, and then when it's in its warm state, it's this super light gray. Again, we do have that holographic shimmer running throughout, and I was really excited about this one. This is actually the shade that I'm going to be using for my Peekaboo nail art. I just love shades that transition into black. I don't know, there's something so magical about it, and I also love the addition of the holographic sparkle. It's a little hard to tell in my lighting, but it's definitely a nice rainbowy sparkle going on there. So once again, just dipping it into the warm and cold water, and you can see just how strong that shift is from the super deep almost black color into this very light gray shade. So here are all three of the shades together. I feel like whenever I do thermals, I always think my little comparison shot at the end does not do the polishes justice. I tried to show you guys what the polishes looked like in the middle of a transition between warm and cold, but I feel like these are so much more intriguing to see in video format. So hopefully I was able to show you guys the color shift pretty well, but overall I absolutely love them. I love this color scheme. It definitely feels very Halloween-y, and I just love playing with thermals. One thing I just want to note, because I always get asked this when I do a thermal review, so I want to definitely start mentioning it, but a lot of people ask me if top coat is going to affect the thermal color shift, and the answer is no, it will not affect the color shift. In fact, thermal polishes tend to have a little bit of a plasticky finish once they're fully dry, so you definitely want to put on a top coat. It doesn't matter if you do matte top coat or glossy top coat, it won't affect the polish's ability to change color at all, so don't worry about that, you are safe. So those are the polishes, and I have to say I absolutely love them. Thermal nail polishes are definitely one of my top finishes. I just think it's so much fun. I love seeing how the temperature changes on my nails, and even though I do have short nails, I feel like a lot of people always bring up that they would love to wear thermals, but their nails are too short to show that color shift. And it is true that if you have long nails, you'll probably get a little bit of that like natural French manicure style, where the tip of your nail that's not flush against your skin is going to be cold, and then your actual nail is going to be warm, so it's going to look like a little bit of nail art. But I do actually find that the color shift happens on my nails throughout the day. Sometimes I don't even realize it, but some of my fingers, I guess, just get colder, and it just always ends up looking different, especially if I'm holding a beverage that's hot or cold. It changes around. When I'm working out, I feel like some of my fingers stay cold and the rest of them stay really warm. So if you haven't tried thermals because you have short nails, honestly, I highly encourage it. I think it's just a really fun time. And just a quick note, if you haven't tried thermals, just so you know, they do not do the color shift forever. Eventually they will settle into one color. I highly recommend storing them in a cool, dry environment just to keep that color shift lasting as long as possible. But they can be anywhere from a few months up to a year or longer. I have had some polishes that keep that color shift for up to 2 years, but it also really just depends on your environment. I do find that it stays a lot better when the polishes are a little bit on the colder side. So before we get into the pricing and availability, I want to show you guys my quick little nail art tutorial. I decided to do a really fun peekaboo nail art look, meaning when my nails are at the cold temperature, you actually can't see the design, but then when they're warm, the design kind of reveals itself, which is just a really fun way to do nail art, especially for the spooky season. You can do some spooky stuff on your nail and then it'll get revealed. So let me show you guys that tutorial. So roll footage number 2. So let's just jump right into it. Like I said, we're going to be doing some peekaboo nail art, and we're going to have the shade Witching Hour that I just reviewed as kind of the star of the show. So as always, I am starting off with my base coat, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to do 3 coats of this shade Witching Hour. Now, one thing I was actually considering doing was doing 2 coats and then doing my nail art and then the 3rd coat, and I think that also would have worked out, but I ended up using a holographic polish anyway, so I think it ended up blending in really nicely. I didn't have to worry about seeing the outlines, so I ended up just going in with my 3 coats as a base. But just in case you were wondering how to kind of camouflage your peekaboo nail art, you can also do it in between coats. So the design I wanted to do was a little spider web design. I'm using the shade Alter Ego, also by Cirque, and a little nail art brush, and I'm gonna start painting on my my lines of spiderweb. And it's actually really easy. I've never done a spiderweb manicure before, I don't think, but it's really easy. Basically, I'm just drawing lines that splay out from one corner of my nail. You don't have to worry about it being too steady. I think the cool thing about doing nail art that involves nature is that it can be a little bit imperfect, but basically what I'm going to do once I have enough lines is I'm going to draw little almost U shapes in between them to connect them. And I'm actually very fortunate in this situation because I was very warm under my lights as I was painting this on, so it was really easy to see my design. If you are working with thermals, you want to make sure that when you're actually doing the nail art, you're not in a cold or warm temperature that's going to impede your ability to actually see the design, if that makes any sense. I'm nice and warm. I don't have to worry about the polish shifting into the darker color and making it hard to see my designs. I'm just going to paint that on, and then once I let that fully dry, I'm going to apply a coat of my top coat. And like I said, top coat does not affect the polish's ability to change color, and you can see the polish was actually a little bit cold as I was applying my top coat, so it started darkening up a little bit. Here's what the design looks like after top coat. It's getting a little bit darker, but it's not fully dark yet. So here we have with my little glasses here, so you can see in cold and warm water that when the polish is in its cold state, you actually cannot see the spider web. And then once it's warm, it sort of reveals itself. And this is actually the first time that I have done true peekaboo nail art before, and I was having so much fun with this. I was just really enjoying messing around with not being able to see the design and then revealing it in the warm water. And I think wearing this is going to be a lot of fun because it's going to just be constantly shifting between warm and cold, and it's going to be randomly revealing that design whenever. And I don't know, I'm just really happy with how it turned out. I think some other fun peekaboo designs using this polish could be doing little bats, doing little eyeballs, like evil eyes or something like that could be really fun, or even just actually drawing spiders would be really cute, and it would be a sort of spooky reveal. So yeah, that's the nail art look, and I gotta say I absolutely love it. I feel like on camera it was really hard to show you guys the polish in its fully cold state just because I have the very warm lights on my hands, but I felt like in real life you actually couldn't see the spider webs at all when my nails were cold, so that's just really fun. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more peekaboo nail art ideas, and I also want to try it with the purple and the orange as well, just because I feel like it would be a really fun twist to do that with a different color because I always see them with black. So like I said, these polishes are limited edition, and I do see that thermal polishes tend to run out a lot quicker. So if you are interested in grabbing these, I highly recommend grabbing them as soon as you can. The polishes come in the regular 11 milliliter bottles, and they retail for $16 USD each. So I'm gonna link everything down in the description so you can check that out if you're interested. But I would love to hear from you guys. What do you think of these thermals? Which of the three is your favorite? Are you a fan of color changing nail polishes in general? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We can chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please give this one a thumbs up. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new videos every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. Huge shout out to my Cosmic Admirals on Patreon, Amanda M, Braxton Scott, Kristen, and Rocketman's daughter. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's fun fact question comes from Patreon supporter Stephanie, and Stephanie wants to know, do you like scary movies? If you do, what are some of your favorites? I feel like that's such a complicated question. I always answer yes, I love scary movies, but I gotta admit, I'm not a huge fan of like gory movies. I just don't love the movies that have like the shock factor in them. I absolutely do love watching things that scare me and then they just stay with me forever, and I sort of hate it, but I also love it. Like I feel like anything that just stays with me is good, even if it's bad. Does that make any sense? I don't know. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Shining. I've definitely mentioned it before in a fun fact. I know that people always tell me that Stephen King did not like the movie adaptation of The Shining, and I did read the book. I love it as well. I just feel like it's a whole separate entity. I just think it was done really well. It feels like a classic to me. I absolutely love it. It's not that scary, but I will say when I was 14 and I watched it for the first time and I was home alone, I was terrified. Whew, that was scary. So So that's just one of the movies that kind of stuck with me. But I do definitely like movies that are like scary and suspenseful and thrilling. I'm not a huge fan of jump scares, but every once in a while, you know, they're pretty good. This might be a hot take, but I also am actually a really big fan of the movie The Ring. I have not seen that movie in years. I think I saw it when I was in 6th grade, and then I don't think I've watched it again, but I remember that movie so vividly. I don't know if it holds up today. It might not be as scary anymore, but when I was a preteen watching that movie, I was terrified to my core. I've tried to convince Ryan to watch it with me because he's never actually seen it before. He says he does not want to. I am convinced it is because he's actually scared to watch it. I don't know. I feel like that would be a very good movie to watch around the Halloween time, but I do definitely love watching my scary movies around Halloween. I just love the spooky vibes. I especially love when things are a little bit on the paranormal side. Don't love like the gory kind of movies. Like I was never like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre Saw kind of person. I definitely prefer like the more supernatural scary kind of stuff. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.